Hey there, it's Nicole Lewis-Keeber. I'm the author of How to Live Your Business, and this is our read along of the book where I read, the author reads my book to you. If you have your book, great, you can read along with us, and if not, just sit back and relax, grab a pen and paper, maybe something to drink, and we're going to jump into chapter 4. Just a reminder that I have a learning difference and that sometimes I may stumble over my words as I'm processing what I'm reading. Totally fine. No judgment here. I don't tend to edit or stop because perfectionism is not a goal of mine. Getting this done and being here to support you is what's most important to me. So let's jump into chapter 4. This is a fun chapter. So the title is Let's Fall in Love. My favorite. All right. When I recognized that I had been abusing myself with my business by setting it up to emulate the relationship I'd had with my mother, I knew that I had to redefine that relationship. I did not start my business to be miserable or to feel taken advantage of. I mean, hell, I could do that by working for someone else and at least have great benefits, medical and dental coverage, and a 401k. You hear me? You feel me? I started my business in order to achieve my biggest dreams and to help other people achieve theirs as well. I could not do that within that abusive partnership I had created. I had to take a deeper look at myself. And I had to ask myself, what kind of relationship do I want to have with my business? Too often, we don't give ourselves time and space to create a bigger picture of what we want from our business or in our lives for that matter. Creation of our business first comes from a deep why and then gets buried, I will pronounce that, buried by the how, right? So it gets buried by the how. And so, for instance, I started my business so that I could leave the toxic workplace I was in, set my own hours, and gain financial freedom. But those whys ended up being getting hijacked by the everyday tasks of writing more emails, increasing sales, scoring more clients. These are the hows, remember? These are the hows that we do that. And if we took a moment to explore the notion of ourselves in relationship to our business and what paradigm we have, I believe many of us would have a different outcome. We create our businesses with hope and excitement for the future, much like we enter into a relationship. And just as we can recreate patterns from our private lives into our relationship with our business, we can fall into the same type of personal relationships over and over. And I know what I speak of. As I mentioned before, in the introduction, I've been married 3 times. I've been doing this. I've done this. And it took a lot of therapy and personal development for me to see that I had been recreating those same dysfunctional dynamics in each one of my romantic relationships. And once I saw that, I could choose to create a new one. And that was a new relationship that was free of past constraints. And it took some time, but I did. So, what I learned is that my business is also worth that investment of time and energy. And a complete paradigm shift as well is what I needed. I needed to do more than focus on dollars and cents. Systems, marketing, networking, program development, and coaching, all the hows. I learned that I needed to create an intimate, loving relationship with my business and dig up my why. Initially, I had a hard time with this. I did not have many good role models for relationships that I could replicate in my life, other than the one I had fought so hard for in my marriage to my current partner, Jace. What I learned in this marriage is that with intention and honesty, a relationship can be loving and supportive instead of demanding and demeaning. And with my business, I had to break it down into steps so that I could get the bigger picture of this business relationship. So these are the steps that I took. I'm going to walk you through them. I'm going to walk you through them. There are many steps, but we're going to do this together. And this is what I did in order to develop a loving relationship with my business that I still have to this day, many years later. I'm also going to share some colorful stories from clients who have taken the same steps and come out with a stronger, better relationship with their business as well. I really do love offering this process in a workshop because there's magic in the moment when I see a participant connect the dots, see their business in a whole new light. It gives me life. It is why what I do. Um, so are you ready to get all lovey-dovey when it comes to your business? Yeah? Okay, let's do it. All right. So remember that cold morning when I had that aha moment and I had to sit down and journal all my feelings and get them out? So here are the questions that I asked myself. Number one, do I love my business? And if so, why? The answer was a resounding yes. I love my business very much. I love the fact that I was able to help so many amazing people and that it had gotten me out of the drudgery of working for someone else every single day. I also love that it let me explore big ideas on how to change the world of small business ownership and entrepreneurship. I love that my business reflected the values that I had of freedom and authenticity and leadership. I loved my business. Question two. Does my business love me in return? Do I feel supported by it? And do I feel like we are connected in a vision or just moving through tasks every day? As I journaled, what I realized is I felt like there was a part of my business that wanted to love me, but it was only a whisper. And most of the time, I felt like my business was mad at me, that I was in trouble or that no one would like me or want to work with me, and that every time a potential client said no, my business would be smug and demeaning towards me. Instead of working 9 to 5 p.m. for someone else, I felt driven by my business to work all the time, often getting nowhere. I would meet with a business coach and we would discuss a perfect plan to market my programs, and then I could not follow through on the plan. I was working long hours and on weekends basically for free, and I was not making the sales that I needed. I was afraid to put myself out there and speak about my expertise because I never felt like I was quite good enough to warrant that kind of attention. And even on good days where I did some amazing work with a client or had a successful sales call, I felt like it really didn't matter. It was as if my business was a fickle mistress who was always changing the game on how to win my love and affection. In short, my business, which existed in my head and in my life as a fully realized entity separate from me, did not love me. In fact, it was abusive most days, and I was afraid of it. So now that it was clear that my business was replicating abusive patterns, I began to ask myself more questions. I wrote down a list of all the things that I would want for my business, as if it was a person. What attributes did I want it to have? How did I want to relate to it? And these were my answers. Number one, how did I want to relate to my business? I wanted to feel connected and in daily communication with my business. I wanted a daily dialogue about what works and what doesn't, about what feels right and what feels wrong. A clear communication with no judgments. I wanted to feel nurtured by my business emotionally and financially, and I wanted to nurture my business in return. Number two, what attributes did I want it to have? I wanted my business to be playful and fun and not too serious. I don't really respond well to serious, stoic, and demanding people, and so why would I want my business to be like that? I also wrote down a list of what I would like my partnership to look like with this entity, and I thought about all of the relationships that I had in my life and what they looked like. For example, with my husband Jace, our relationship is built on humor and a deep respect for one another. They do most of the cooking in our home because I absolutely hate doing it. I do things that they hate doing, such as cleaning up the kitchen, vacuuming, meal planning. We each want to protect the other from activities that are draining, and we have our own language and secret jokes that have become a part of our story. I rarely have to explain myself to them, and at this point, we have a history, so they know what I mean most of the time. They can finish my sentences if need be. During this exercise, I also wrote down what it was like to work with a dear friend, Susan, who I trusted and who trusted me. I thought about how important it was that I'd left the social work arena where I had been mentally and emotionally beat up, and how having her support and empathy made it easier to push back against supervisors' unethical behavior, and in other words, Susan really had my back. The key emotions here were that I felt respected, nurtured, safe, understood, and humored, and had humor. I was beginning to see what I really wanted from the partnership, to understand how I wanted to feel, what kind of personality my business could have, and that made it easier for me to think about what I could do to create it in an intentional relationship as well. How could I connect with my business every day? I looked at all the lists I had created and asked myself some more questions. If I were to think of my business as an entity, what would it look like? Would it be a spiritual presence, an animal, a celebrity? Could it be an energy source or a planet? I needed it to be something that I was eager to relate to. I began to imagine my business as a partner in creation. And when I sat down and answered all these questions for myself, I let myself get really dreamy and somewhat goofy about it. And I allowed any unanswers to be okay. When I relate to what came up in talks on this topic, people often laugh uncontrollably. And what I realized is that my business was the ghost of Christmas present. And not just any version of him, but the Muppet version. And let me tell you why. First of all, he is vibrant, he's jovial, he loves to party, and he has the best food and drink and knows how to have a good time. He does not take himself too seriously. He's also very wise and knows that we must look to the past so that we can change our future. He knows that the future can change with one breath in the present moment. And he knows what really counts is right here in this moment, in this time. And I have since recognized that he is a stand-in for the father I really always needed, that he has been a bigger than life benevolent and jovial presence in my favorite planet, Jupiter. I can be too serious at times, so he helps me feel powerful and present, and yet still funny at the same time. And he is so very important to me. I then formalized this picture of my business by printing out a picture of the ghost of Christmas present and putting it over my desk so I could remember him and be reminded that he was my business partner and that he had my back. And this may sound silly, but it really worked. This is one of my favorite parts of this exercise is creating and sharing our business entities with entity personas. I had a client, Kimberly, who had a very demanding and critical mother. She had recreated a relationship with her business, much like mine, where she felt unsupported and very insecure. She mainly wanted to feel secure and strong. So when she went through this exercise, the business entity that she chose was an oak tree. The oak tree represented her business because she wanted to have deep roots where she could feel secure and stable. She wanted to have a sturdy trunk that could support all of her dreams and her big ideas and her creativity, which is what all the branches and leaves were. She wanted her business not to only be supportive and protective of her, but also to all of those around her. Shade for all creatures, oxygen for the world. Her tree also had branches that reached high up into the sky because she had such ambitions for her business. But it still makes me emotional when I read it. Another client, Lynn, had parents who were very absent. She could only get this attention if she morphed herself into somebody or something else. Likewise, with her business, she was constantly changing programs, coming up with new ideas. As a result, she was having a hard time making sustainable revenue and establishing her expertise and brand recognition. In this exercise, she chose the entity of a butterfly to represent her business. A butterfly has metamorphosed and has taken metamorphosed, whatever, and has taken flight. It is beautiful and it has purpose, and it's also not going to change again, right? So, write a love letter. The next part is where people usually look at me and say, okay, Nicole, now I really know that you have lost your mind. And I'm just totally okay with that. And do you know what I did next? I wrote love letters. Yep, I sure did. I wrote a love letter to my business and then one from my business back to me. And I know, my business cannot really write a love letter, but I have two hands and can type. So I asked it what it would want to say. And I wrote a love letter to my business, and in it, I told it why I loved it so much. And I told it what my commitments to it were and why I was so excited about the work that we would do together. And it honestly felt like a marriage vow in some ways. There were statements that affirmed how I felt, why I thought it was fantastic, and my vision for our future. And when I wrote a love letter to me from my business, my Muppet Ghosty, I wrote down everything that I hoped my business would say to me, all of the things that it's excited about, its hopes for our relationship, and the commitments that it would make to me in return. And here's the thing about this love letter exercise. People tend to either love it or hate it. Um, I guess I hate it might be strong, but dislike it. But let's say that it doesn't really connect with let's say you don't really connect with the idea of it being a love letter or being in love with your business. And I get that, and it's totally fine. Because being in love is not always about romantic relationships. It's deep, it's intimate, and it's connected with someone or something that causes you to feel profoundly alive, right? It informs how you behave and what your desires are in the relationship to this person or thing. So I have a lot of artist friends, and they'll often tell me that they're in love with the latest creation or even their studio. So you see what I mean? It can look a little different for each person. So pick up what resonates and maybe put aside what doesn't, but allow yourself this opportunity to relate to your business in a loving way. So, mm, So here are some love letters. Oh, here's my love letter. I'm pretty sure I have some more in here that are from clients, but been a minute. But yes, here's mine. So, dear Chris, I am so thankful for you, and I never they have it written in a weird font here. So, I'm so thankful for you, and I never really imagined that I would have the privilege of owning my own business and doing impactful work with this in the world outside of social work. Oh my gosh, this font's killing me. You have given me the opportunity to create such a special outlet for my creativity and sense of purpose. And what I love about you so much is that you are wise, you see the world as I do, and you know that we must look back to acknowledge which got us here and that the future can be changed by our willingness to value the present moment. You believe that we can change the whole trajectory of our lives by honoring the present. You have such wisdom and also really know how to have a good time, and you delight in the pleasures of life that are available to us. This is what I need more of in my life. I'm sorry I neglected you. Forgive me. I'm sorry that I neglected you. Forgive me for using this pure container space to recreate some gnarly old patterns. I vow to you that I will stay firm in honoring my business as a treasured relationship that deserves fun, love, protection, and room to dream. Thank you. Love, Nicole. Here's the font. It's like I can read cursive. I'm from that generation, but it's kind of like a weird font. So as I'm trying to read loud and process at the same time, it's a little bit much. Thankful we have better font from the letter being written back to me. So this is the love letter from my business to me. Dear Nicole, what I dig about you is that you're not afraid to rattle some cages. I truly appreciate that in a person. I deeply feel your commitment to learning from your past and using it to change your future. I'm so proud that you help others do the same thing for themselves and their lives and their businesses. You are radical, and I love you for that. I forgive you for letting our relationship get twisted, and will accept that it is a learning experience that you needed to go through. You are brave, smart, loving, creative, and we will work on helping you have more fun. I vow to support you and remind you that you are loved. You are, oh my God, get emotional. Your one and only Muppet Ghost, Chris. Oh my God. Oh my goodness, y'all. Mm. See, these are fun. And like it still just touches me, and I still feel that that relationship is just true still. All right. So here is an example of a client's love letter to her business persona and one from her persona back to herself. Dear Oak Tree, I love you. I love the steady way you have about you. I love how you take care of us financially while allowing me to fully express my creative side. I love the partnership we have, how we work together to nurture the people we interact with. I love how you support me to take care of myself, allow me to spend quality time with my family, and take them on adventures. I love the way we work together to help those who are less fortunate, and I love how relatable you are. I always know I can depend on you to be there for me when I need you. Thank you for making my family and me so happy and for working with me to make our dreams come true. Love, Kimberly. P.S. I know that I haven't always been the easiest person to take care of, and I'm working to improve that. I promise that I will work on communicating my needs to you, set boundaries so that I don't resent the time that you need and making time to hang out with you, to talk regularly, not just when I feel like just like when I feel like it. I promise that I will learn and honor the consistency you provide for me by making sure you get the attention you deserve. I will not wait until the last minute to demand things from you, and instead will plan purposefully and properly so that we can take care of each other properly. I so love you and cannot wait to see how our relationship continues to grow and the millions of lives that we will be able to affect working together. And so this is the response from her business. Oh, Kimberly, how I have longed to hear you write these words. I've been patiently waiting for you to acknowledge our relationship for so long. I have longed to work with you instead of trying to anticipate your needs and fight against you. You have so many talents and have so many gifts to bring to the world, and I'm delighted to help you bring that vision to light and change the lives of those around you. I know that as we work together, taking consistent, steady action, that your impact on this world will explode, and I can provide the lifestyle I have always dreamed for you. Now that you no longer feel the need to hide our relationship anymore, I'm finally, I can finally yell to the rooftops how amazing we are together and how much I adore you. Working together, there's nothing we cannot accomplish, and I love you and cannot wait to see the impact we have on the world. Love your oak tree. These are just the sweetest things. Like, this is one of my favorite things to do. So if you do this exercise and you want to share your letters with me, um, I'll put my email in the comments of this video so you can email them to me. All right, so here's the thing. If you're not connecting with the love letter idea, here's a modification. So I was teaching a lunch and learn at a local co-working facility called the Candy Factory, and I was thrilled that there were some men at the table because this, that's not always the case. And one of the men raised their hand and said, I came to this part of the training. When it came to this part of the training, he said, I'm sorry, but when I think about writing a love letter, I kind of struggle. So I asked him this. I said, do you have a best friend? A friend that you've known for a long time, that it's your ride or die best bud? And he said, of course, I was in the military as a young man. I still have friends from that time that I'm as loyal to as I am my wife. And I said, great. Write a letter to your business as if it were them. Outline your devotion, loyalty, and the fun that you've had and will have, and write it to them as if it's a commitment and a vow to that best friend of yours. I told Tim to write a letter back to himself from this loyal friend who had his back and knows him better than anyone. The kind of friend that will call him out, make him laugh harder than anyone else, the friend that he could trust with his life, his money, and his business. Once I was able to reframe this for him, he was on board and went from being resistant to excited. And as my dear friend Brene Brown teaches, the most basic human needs are connection and belonging. And I believe that these practices and processes outlined in this book will give you the pathway to connect to your business on a deeper level, and that you will feel your business belongs to you and you belong to it. When I offer this exercise in a workshop or retreat, I ask anyone who wants to read their letter out loud to do so. And in that setting, we have already identified who our business reminds us of. We've shared that insight with one another. And have I mentioned again that this is my favorite part of the process? It's so exciting to see my workshop participants' eyes light up and sometimes see the tears fall when they realize that they've been missing out on so much love and support from their business. It may sound a little hokey, but my desire for you is to have a bond with your business. And if you would like to share your love with me, letter with me again, you know where to send them. Thank you for letting me read this chapter with you. I love it. Chapter 5 coming up next.